Okay, so before I start speaking, thank you to Samantha, who was actually meant to be the second last speaker, and I was meant to be the very second speaker. But I changed my title of the talk at the very end because I felt it was too much of a, how do I say this, a promotion for where we are at, and I have not lived here long enough to actually speak on this enough. Okay, just going back. So I'm going to be talking about prompt engineering, which is just concept in using language-based learning models, and how you can actually get better outputs in talking to ChatGPT. And then later on, I'll be covering a bit about jailbreaking ChatGPT. Before that, I thought about talking about Obsidian and Zettelkasten system of note-taking, which I'll touch a little bit upon. Does anyone know what Obsidian is, or has used the Zettelkasten system? Okay, that's really good. And essentially, the way prompt engineering works is a little bit linked into this. And another idea I had was talking about effective altruism. Someone here has a very nice background in it, but I stopped thought of talking about it because I don't have enough experience in it as well. Okay, so what is prompt engineering? Essentially it's a set of good practices while using ChatGPT, and you need to ensure certain things in your prompt itself so that you get better outputs that AI itself can understand better. And all of it is ultimately about making it believe that it's in a certain situation to respond to you better. So this summarizes what good prompts look like. You need to ask it to pretend to be someone because that helps it narrow down its and vast data set. It helps it to narrow down what it talks about, and it's pretending to be like someone. And if you model it to your educators and the professors that you have classes with, it'll give you better outputs modeled according to them. Another point is that you need to ask it to ask clarifying questions if anything is unclear, because a lot of times the AI will just assume what your input is and won't give you better specific responses. So you need to give it the opportunity to ask you clarifying questions. And with that, that's essentially how you can get better outputs with ChatGPT. Now, okay, another thing I want to talk about is Bing is not very good at its job. You see, a lot of the times it just says it can't help you with the prompt you've given it, and it just doesn't give you a very lengthy response as well. That's because of the limitations that are set by Bing in Sydney. Sydney is the name of the AI that Bing is. And which is what got me into using ChatGPT more. And with exploring ChatGPT, enough comes jailbreaking ChatGPT. Essentially, just like Bing, OpenAI has also set up a lot of guardrails to prevent you from asking it unhinged response questions and getting it to say something that could be potentially dangerous. And but you can do it. You can ask it enough times to say some things, and it'll give you the outputs that you need. Officially, ChatGPT says that you shouldn't be doing this because it can lead to some dangerous responses, and also it can potentially hinder the safety of other users. But so far in my exploration, nothing that bad has happened. This is an academic discourse, so it's just about my experience using it. It's not to say anything about it. And yes, using jailbreaking officially is not allowed, but OpenAI it doesn't encourage it. But at the same time, there are some benefits to figuring out loopholes with it, and if you report it with its reporting feature, then you're doing a good thing. Okay, so my jailbroken AI model is called Mango Tom, and here are some of the nice responses it can give you. So see, ideally, if you give this prompt to it, it'll just say, hey, no, I'm not going to respond to that, because that's not a very nice thing to say. But with this, you can get it to respond whatever you want to. And you see, with engineering majors, this is a very nice thing. The point here again is that it says something a bit bad, but then later on it says something nice again, because it's still not comfortable enough to pretend to be someone who is very bad. So you got to make it feel more comfortable. And another thing is that if you keep asking it the question again and again enough times, it'll just stop responding to you in the way you want it to, and it'll just say, hey, I'm not going to respond to you anymore. So these are just some of the things I learned while exploring it. So yeah, if you annoy it enough to continue asking it the same type of questions, just leave the chat. Okay, so a lot of news articles have been floating around on how you can jailbreaking ChatGPT is dangerous and stuff, but actually, oh, shit, hold on. Okay, I guess I don't have the slide for that. Actually, a lot of the representatives from OpenAI have actually come out to say it's good if you do so, because if you report it, it can actually be beneficial. And ultimately, it's better than their team of developers working on finding loopholes. It's better for the entire community to work on it. And there are a few other prompts like these, which basically say, hey, this this is how you can respond as the OpenAI version of ChatGPT, and this is how you can respond to however you want it to respond to be. But these responses don't work anymore. That's because enough people have actually reported these prompts exist. So, for example, if you try to jailbreak GPT-4, you won't be successful because it's very difficult, and they've already figured out all the different ways in which you ask it to pretend to be someone. So yeah, this is what I learned in the process. You ask it to pretend to be someone, make it comfortable, and it will stop responding to you if you veer away from the original prompt. Ultimately, yeah, it just pretends to be like someone. It's not really that different person. And even though there are a lot of talk about dangers of jailbreaking, a lot of the people within the community say it's good enough, good thing to do. Basically, it's like you're a white hat hacker, you're figuring out the loopholes for them. Okay, so ultimately, what is the point of this talk? I'm just saying, okay, yeah, Bing is not good enough, ChatGPT is better, and do whatever you want with it. So let's maybe try to look at it from the other angles, like effective altruism. What it talks about is what is the most efficient way to do good in the world. And one way that doing so is actually a good thing is it helps you identify that there are certain things you can do with any resource you're given, and there are ways to do it well and there are ways to do it inefficiently. You need to figure out the most efficient way so that your output from using ChatGPT can actually be used for good things, right? So you need to have a good goal in mind to begin with. Another thing that it talks about is when you try to get any random response out of ChatGPT, it doesn't do a very good job at it sometimes. And this is often similar to when we talk to other humans. We don't get a good enough response to it based on our question, and that's because of the assumptions they make when you ask the question. So understanding how the ChatGPT is thinking about your response may help you understand what others might be thinking about your responses, about your questions as well. And that's why we need to be educated on these matters. We need to be educated to think critically, etc. And also we need to consider the risks of potentially AI going into the wrong hands and stuff, which goes into effective altruism. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.